And welcome to another episode of DataStax's Apache Cassandra and DSE C# Hour. We're getting right into it today. No specific announcements, no specific pre-mentions of anything. We're just going to get into it. In the last session, I got into some Docker coding, or coding around Docker. I guess not really Docker coding, but using Docker with C#. And in that, I did some coding acrobatics. It was a little nuts. So the first thing we want to do today is I'm going to review. Actually, let's see. Well, I'll do this. Review the Docker code and refactor from last session. We're going to do that, and then we're going to get into the, what do we even call it? I'm not sure. Let's see. So we'll look at the refactor. We're going to try not to crash the machine this time, because last time Docker brought down the machine. I was just working with Docker a little bit earlier, and it actually brought down virtual machines that I had running and other things like that. So Docker can be a little tricky sometimes. It doesn't particularly run without contaminating your memory and compute and space. So you got to be a little careful sometimes. I know everybody puts everything on it these days, but you have to think about what you're doing with that. So anyway, we're going to dig into that a little bit, talk a little bit more about what's specifically is going on with it. And then we're going to get back into the integration tests with the core code base around schema migrations. And then our kind of reach goal is we're going to make some CQL migration run. Make a CQL migration run. Let's see, what is it for bold? Yeah, I think that'll do it. And then let's save this. Notes for today, markdown. And where is my, that's weird. Well, anyway, got it saved on there. All right, so now we got that stuff saved. So now let's dive into Writer and get this happening. Let's crank that music down just a little bit. There we go. That's in the background. And let's get rolling. The other thing that is always useful, let's get the code full front and center. Yeah. All right. So last week I had this examples library, which is just now it's just this. It runs the Cassandra container. It then writes the Docker address, which is an important thing. I need the address, the IP of it, to actually do particular tests and things like that with it, so that we can connect to it and do things like write data or read data or whatever we need to do. And then after that, I stop Cassandra, and then I remove the Cassandra container instance from the list, right? So the container that is created from the Cassandra image is removed at the end of this. So when we get to this point, nothing should be left. Now over here in Docker for tests is what I named the library, and I just named the object that we use Docker cruft. Because really what this is I'm trying to get it so that I can spin up an instance easily in a programmatic way, know where that instance is, and connect to it, insert, delete, remove, do whatever I need to do with the migrations on a live container, on a live Cassandra node, and then basically shut it all down. So I know that I'm using the cleanest, minimalist thing installed possible every time I run these tests. So that's what I want to do as a wrap-up functionality, is be able to run an actual migration, some CQL, against the Cassandra node that we're starting up with this code right here. So if you take a look at this, right up at the top, I have a constructor of the class. This constructor takes and has the name, the network, and the version that we're using set up by default. I've kind of done this so that I can make this class a little bit more generic in the future so that I can use it in besides this one unique use case. But anyway, for this though, I just use a GUID or UUID and stick it into the middle of the name so that the name is always unique when this instance is created, and I can trace it back to a particular execution of the test. Then I stick it into the default network. I don't need to do any fancy anything around networking. I set the image specifically to Cassandra 3.114, as you see, and then with that done, I then can instantiate it other ways too, because I have this constructor, then an overloaded constructor with container name, network, and Cassie version. So right now, this is the only one I'm using, but if I default it, I'll use this one. All right, so with that done, those variables available to us to use throughout this, I have execute Docker, which takes a Docker command and runs it. Here is the process that starts it, okay? Then I thread sleep for 2 seconds, write processing, then I thread sleep again, and then write the finish statement. Now, the reason I do that is because sometimes Docker isn't instantaneous. If I'm removing or building a container in a particular way, I need to wait a few seconds before I try to issue that next command. So right now, just as a stopgap, I've put in 2-second delays with thread.sleep. Then we get down to the specific commands. Here's run Cassie. So this runs the actual container. And you can see it puts in the version, network, and the name of the container, and so on. Stop the container, remove the container, and then this gets the Docker address, which is what we built specifically last time. Some of that other code was done in the example, but then I refactored it and pulled it out and put it into this particular project so I could have a standalone class and thus object to use in the other projects above. So let's cross all our fingers here. Okay, got all my fingers crossed, and run this and see if this runs. So this is just running the Docker example, which is this project, which is this code file and this code specifically. Okay, here's our main. That's what we're gonna run. So let's run that. I ran it with debug. So it started the build. The build succeeded. And there it goes. So it ran the container. And you can see it gave it its ID there. Uh-oh, external sources. Something happened. Generating debug info. Yeah, something blew up big time. So let's get in here, though. Go back. Where did we get to? We got running container, unknown flag, format, a self-sufficient runtime for containers. So it looks like it tried to run another Docker command and it didn't have the right details. So before I even look at that error, let's step through this and see what we get here. So I'm betting it's running and breaking on, where is it here? So finish statement, this statement. So we're running this, then this Cassie, and then this. So I'm betting it's breaking somewhere in here. So let's step through this. All right, so I'm going to stop execution. But let's go see what was left over. It's not Docker. Let's Docker PS. All right, so that instance, it did start the container. We have confirmation of it right there. Here's our crazy name with a GUID in it. Okay. So I'm going to actually stop that. Docker stop Cassie blah, blah, blah for testing. Then take a look at where it's saved there. There it is, right here. And then we'll actually remove that. Cassie. There we go. All right, so we cleaned up after the test where it failed. So we know it definitely got past the start. So it's probably somewhere breaking somewhere here in this inspect bit, right? Maybe on our IP address. Who knows? Let's see here. So this is what is this? .network settings .IP address. I forget exactly what it is that I'm doing there. Yeah, it's definitely breaking here somewhere. So let's get to that. Let's build our command. File name docker argument command. Oh, and here's where we start it. So we should be able to get to that without any error. Because it starts a new process, sets the new process start info, which is Docker. So execute Docker. Oh, I bet I don't need this here. Right? I think that could be it. And then, there we go. Okay, so that runs that, then it gets process start. Let's see if we can get to that now. Okay, so proc, this is the command. Whoa. So obviously something blew up here. Exit code has terminated. Well, what is the base project? System invalid operation exception was thrown. Okay, it's not super useful. Sure state, okay. Where does it have? I'm sure it has command here somewhere. Just don't know where it's at. Exit time, exit code, working set. What is that even? Responding, priority boost, main window handle, design mode, can raise events, associated. I don't even see the, I don't see anything here. Just keep running it. See what it blows up on next. So this goes into process.cs, the standard output Streamreader. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, let's get to, So it looks like we have to do this. Let's do this. Let's do console.log, or wait, console.write line. And then we'll say proc dot. There's got to be like a command or something, right? Machine name, process name. Oh, actually, what did I call it? Arguments. Arguments? No. Too bad it doesn't say something just like command. Oh, process name, maybe. Processor time, user process, processor affinity. We're gonna go with name. Oh wait, proc dot start info. Go in then there. Arguments. And this would be what? Username. Now why was it that I can't just execute this? Like the other ones here. So pass it into command there. Oh, and there I do Docker there. Oh, because I need to set. Let's try this. Let's do exec Docker command. Command and then finish statement. Done. got an IP. Oh, so I needed to actually return. Oh, I need to return information is the problem. Proc standard output, read line. Okay, that's what the problem is there. So if this is that, let's see here, I can clean it up, just make it var. And start info dot arguments. Console dot write line. Hello, Michael Jolly. How are you? Thank you for the follow on our DataStax Devs channel. You may actually have an answer for this. So I'm trying to run a Docker command that's going to give me results. The Docker inspect command specifically, where it gives back all the results around like IP address, system info, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And then I'm trying to get the results right here so I can pull out a specific value. And right now I'm trying to find the IP address, network settings IP address. I had this work at some point, but now it's not. And if you know of a cleaner way to run a process that executes a command and then just takes the results and I can then act on the results, I am all ears. So let's see here, proc dot start info dot file name. Oh, what's that? Yeah, I want to know what that is. And let's see, console dot write line proc dot start info dot something. Password. I don't have a password. I just want to execute the thing. But what is? You shall to execute should be true. What's it say for this file name? Gets to set the application or document to start. Okay, so we'll do that. And let's just go ahead and add this. Say use shell to execute, true, boom. Okay, that's all I need to add there. And we'll get to here. Pop that one off. All right, stop. It's our Docker mess here. You have this. You have a string result. Thinking about what you just wrote there. Have string result. Process.standard output read to end. Standard output read. Read line. Maybe I do need to do read to. Oh, because of the way I'm issuing the command, it should just be the one thing. Oh, instead of my while. I see what you're saying. Read to end. Let's do that. Read to end. Nip that. Oh wait, I need to. Well, that should be fine, right? Yeah. And what is this bar? Can I do that? Yeah. Okay. Maybe we just cleaned it up all at the same time. Wait for exit after the read to end. Oh, let's do that. Proc dot wait for exit. So we'll do 2 breakpoints. Let's jump into that mess. Let's see where we get here. Build works. I don't know how I've started executing this differently with JetBrains Writer, but the build is actually dramatically faster than what I was doing a week or two ago. All right, so what do we got? So this is, that looks correct. Let's look for 7630 bada there. So Docker PS, and that is 73, what, D? This said, that is the wrong container. Yeah. Now I'm not sure what the heck is going on. Oh, I wonder if this is... So this is true. This file name is Docker. Okay, so that stuff looks right, but that is not the right command. Like this 7630E3B2 is not the Docker that I am looking for. Just stand on one leg, do east and pray. Oh man, yep, that's kind of, I feel like that's where I'm at. So let's see here. So why would that container name not be the right thing? I feel like I'm missing something. Well, stop running. And let's take a look. Because that's the one that I suspect it just created. So Docker PS. Yeah, so Docker stop. Cassie clear. Docker PS all. And I bet, oh no, it's still just the one. Nope, there's the other one. So that was the last one. No, wait, this was the last one. This is the one we were trying to use. It just got created. So it had the right information, but that one looked like it wasn't running. Well, let's clean it up. So let Docker remove Cassie 7 6 Oh, what? PS, yeah, Docker PS all. Docker remove Cassie 7 3 something. And then Docker remove Cassie the other one. So maybe that'll fix it, eh? Yeah, Cassie name is wrong, which is really just, it's the container name. I called it Cassie because it's a Cassandra node. All right, so now, nothing's running. So let's just run it and see where we get here. Okay, build succeeded in like half a second. And then, boom. Okay, we get here, 22F. All right, it's right now. So that's what we want. So all this stuff looks good. Let's see, I hope, yeah, F10. So now I'm gonna start the process and see if I nuke it all. Okay, stuff is running. So then read to end. Oh, brutal. Okay, so it's breaking on the read to end. The other thing was breaking too. So what is this saying though? It's saying, wait for start. I don't know. Maybe if I do proc.start, does it just? Let's see here. Let's pull up some. Let's get some docs going on here. C# process start read standard output. So and it's a property. That still seems so freaking weird to me. Start info. Use shell execute. Standard output. Oh, redirect to standard output. Maybe I need to do that. Let's add that. Redirect to standard output. True. All right, then start, and then Streamreader. Oh, do I need to do that? See, that might work better. So if I need a Streamreader, all right, so I got that reference, and then this is proc. Oh, and then this, yeah, whatever, okay. And then output. How do I do it? So output then becomes, oh, they do a console write line on that. Console.writeLine output. Don't need that. And this can be output, I think. And what else do they do? So they do wait for exit here. So I think wait for exit before the return is okay. I hope. Let's see. What are you saying here? Rather than while directly, is there a wait start? I run commands from an Angular front end calling to the core API that runs bash commands within the container. It just process.start, the line I mentioned above, and then process wait for exit. Create no window, true in the process standard. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I think like if you execute this, like if you build it and you set it to an executable, right, and you run that executable like double clicking or from the CLI itself, I think it'll create a window. But I think as running it into IDE like this, I don't think it'll create a window, or it kills it anyway. But maybe I do need to set that. Let's do that too, just for good measure, huh? Create no window, true. Okay. And then, all right, press exit. Well, I don't need that. I just want to print it all out and be done. Whoa. There. Okay, so maybe this works. It actually reads a lot better than what I had there before. I mean, it could be that the IDE is crashing the window if it's creating one, right? Because I mean, the IDE would probably do that if it's expecting a terminal and then all of a sudden the whole app launches and it doesn't know what to do with it. I don't know. Find out in a minute though. So let's, as usual, nip this. Docker stop Cassie clear Docker PS - shaw. That shows a good example too of how long it takes Docker to actually remove, or I mean stop the container. And then I'm going to run the remove, if I learn how to type. Docker remove Cassie, right? There we go. Yeah, so it's gone. Whoa, whoops, that's not what I wanted. All right, so let's see if we can get to here, and then we'll get to here. I feel like this weird dual instantiation should be and could be cleaned up too. Okay, so we got to that. The reader. Ugh. This is saying, okay, so get Docker address, blah, blah, blah. 73 and 17. That's right, 73 here. And that's in program 17. Okay, well that's where we are. Or that hasn't been started. Oh, do I need to do? Wait, how do they do it here? Oh, yeah, here it is. Process.start right after that. Oh, let's refactor. We're gonna refactor here. So let's do this, and then we're gonna make this Docker, right? Docker. Oops. You shall execute true, I think. I don't need that. Streamreader. Let's do this. And then this. Then down here, I'm going to take the command. So this is process.startInfo.arguments equal command. Oh, crud. Command. Like so. Right. So then this. So we got proc.start, we got the reader, we got the output. Put it here. So and all this stuff could just go. Oh, and then let's do this. IP address. Var. Well, maybe I need a string IP address there. And then false create new window true. Oh, I should do this false, I guess, maybe. Maybe that'll work. Wait for exit, and then return IP address. Whoa, IP address. Here, IP address will be equal to output. Okay, that should work. Oh, I didn't. Okay, where it start? Oh, oh. We have just gotten past. We have gotten past what we just did. So maybe progress. Maybe progress. Oh yeah. Breathe in. Sweet. We have output now, which is blah blah blah. Okay, so that's not exactly an. It's not an IP address, but hey, at least the command is running, right? So I guess, give me a Docker list or Docker PS. All right, so that's the thing that's running. So I want to do Docker inspect format, and then do I need to do this network settings IP address like this, and then Cassie. Oh, whoops. No. What is it? Dadburn it. What is it that I need to run? Because here's the IP address, right? Ah, yeah. IP address. 172.17.0.2. Yeah, exactly. Small steps. One thing at a time. So this, I think I can get figured out in pretty quick order here. So let's hear Docker get IP address command, whatever. Okay, I think this is the exact same thing I was looking at last time when I was trying to get it to work. Oh, it's this weird thing. Okay, so inspect that. And I think what's happening here is this is the like format stuff for Windows now or something. Yeah, it's like it thinks. Let's do this. Boom. Then we'll put one on the tail end here. So I'm gonna give me the correct thing. Let's do a console and we'll get to see what it looks like. That's a whole bunch of weird output. Okay. Where's the... Ah. Just continue. Stop and rerun, yeah. Oh, I do need this. Whoa. Okay, all the other commands work, but still, I don't have the IP address, so let's try this. There we go. So IP address is /n. See, let's go over here. So Docker inspect. Wait, let's see what's running first. PS. So we'll use that one. Docker inspect format. And what is it? It's this thing. And dot network settings dot IP address. All right. Yep. That gives the IP. So what is wrong with my stuff up here? So we know this is the command, but somehow it is not the command, which is the inherent crux of the problem here. So let's stop right here. Yeah, okay, so this command is what? Yeah, see, it's reformatting this stuff into a thing that's not correct. Do these need escapes? No. Let's take this out. Uh-oh, looks right now. Let's see if that gets us what we need here. Oops, no, keep running, just keep running. /n. That is not the, oh, maybe if I just do read line. Because it seems to be doing it, it's just not giving me it's reading like the next line or something. Instead of the first line. What is wrong with this? So did Docker inspect -f double quote curly brace network settings.ip address. Curly brace, this thing, and then, oh, is it? Let's get rid of that. And let's just do, copied value, okay. Darn it. Now there's the Cassie. Okay, so if we do Docker, this thing, oh, I know what's wrong. Let's hear. So Docker stock this thing. Yep, okay. Now let's try it. Now that IP will be freed up. Woohoo! Did it. Oh, didn't finish the thing. I know it says it removed it. So let's hear Docker PS. That's a good sign. So let's go in and look at all the Docker bits. And just get rid of those real quick. Docker, remove Cassie. Remove C3 something. Whoops. Oh, I gotta spell the command right. All right. All right. Looks like we might have success here in just a minute. Run this puppy one more time here. And exit. I took off all the breakpoints. Let's see. I guess, what does this say? New. Oh, no real good suggestion. This is process. Can be var. That looks good. String concatenation. I ain't changing back to that other format. This looked like it dorked it up. Oh man, my Southern came out there for a second. Dorked it up. Okay. Error. Cannot remove running container. This stop the container before attempting. I need to bump this up some. I'm Southern Mississippi, Picayune, Mississippi, 45 minutes from New Orleans, 45 minutes from Hattiesburg, and 45 minutes from the Gulf Coast of Gulfport, Biloxi area. I lived in New Orleans, Covington on the North Shore, lived up in Memphis. Lived in Jacksonville, which kind of, I don't know if Florida really counts. It's a different place. Even though Jacksonville is kind of like southern Georgia, you know? At least that's what a lot of us always said whenever I lived there. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, Florida's just Florida. It's Florida. It's its thing. So let's see here. And y'all indeed. That's why I have my tweets include y'all, because it's the easiest word to use ever. All right, let's see, IP address. So this works, which is amazing. It works. Except it's taken too long to shut down the thing. Oh, so maybe if I do, let's do 3 here and 3 here. So I give it 6 seconds to shut down the thing. It is the easiest word to use ever. Well, actually, you can get it conflated though, right? Because you could say y'all, y'alls, and all y'all, y'all, you, all you. Oh, I don't know. It's more complicated than when I used to use it. I just say y'all for everybody. Everybody and everything all the time. Yeah, you alls. All right, so. Oh, whoops, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to see what else is here. Okay, so there's one here. Was that the one that did not get deleted? Okay, I'm thinking about ways to make this more complicated, but I don't think I need to do that right now. I need to get back to the focus point. All y'all. That's what I was trying to think of. It says all y'all, which y'all already means all y'all. Oh, jeez. All right, so Docker PS. Docker PS all. So there is no container. Now I'm going to run it, and hopefully we get the right thing up here. Exit. It's like the Mario Brothers soundtrack of the future. Boom! It's working. It's totally working. Ah, beautiful. Just needed another second in there. So, start up, 6 seconds is more than enough. Shut it down, 6 seconds. It takes a good 4 or 5 seconds for it to shut down. And then removing it only takes a second. But I got the break in there anyway. So that's cool. So with that done though, maybe see if I put in the sleep in here though, would it make it wait in the order of the, I ain't gonna mess with it. This works. Okay. So now if we go back over here, so this is the example, right, that I ran all of that from. This is the object which has all the commands, etc. on, or the project that has the class that is the object that is instantiated with the variables that are pertinent to the particular Cassandra instance that needs to be started, then shut down and destroyed, so that migrations can be run against that particular instance of Cassandra. That was a tongue twister. I still don't know if I used all the particular vocabulary correctly, but the information was there. Key pertinent pieces of information. So there's our Docker bits. Part 1 of this whole trip. Hey, Cuskman. Welcome to the DataStax Devs channel. DataStax, Apache Cassandra, and DSE C# Hour with yours truly, Adrian. We just got the Docker stuff to work in C#. So that major accomplishment there. And I'll be streaming later too on my channel, doing some other not C# stuff. So done. Oh, I don't want that. I want this. What's our time point? Our time point is like 1 hour, 29 seconds. 10-minute intro. So let's see. Where can we get with this then? So get back over here to the core lib test. We got all the test helpers, which builds up our whole environment. And then the core lib tests. And these were the ones that were breaking still. The rest of this stuff works, I believe. Yep. And then get back up here. So that's your verified destination database. That should work now. Let's go take a look at this functionality though. Wait, folding? No. Go to declaration. There we are. All right. Oh, and so this, yeah, I need to add all this stuff in here. So destination database. Yeah, destination database. Why is this? Oh. What were you saying? This layer's not that terrible. Stuff in JavaScript backend for the app, Google Store. Yeah, C#. Oh, JavaScript and TypeScript, yes. Yeah, and C# would be familiar to read upon using TypeScript. There's a lot of similarities there. And that's what I'm using for this particular project, the schema migration for Apache Cassandra and DataStax Enterprise, which will eventually have migrations for graph, data, time series, geo, all that kind of jazz. So it'll be pretty encompassing and pretty useful, which will be awesome. Right now, though, still in kind of the development mode. I'm trying to remember exactly what I was doing here. So this is the class in the core library of the actual schema migration tool that I'm trying to build. The console, well, it does this, but eventually the console will have all the CLI goo for using the Cassie core lib that I'm writing right now, which right now I'm using tests, XUnit unit tests as integration tests to test the core library code. And then eventually, once I get the core functionality written using tests as integration tests, I'm going to just basically wire up the whole API into a console, and then we'll be able to use it as a CLI app in Linux, Windows, or whatever you got. So let's see. All right. So that console doesn't really do anything. We run the tests. So technically C#'s been cross-platform since 2001, but that was a somewhat disingenuous notion. But now it is 100% open source and 100% cross-platform with the .NET Core stuff, like the old .NET, whatever the last one was, I think 4.6.2, 4.6.8, I don't remember what it was. But that version of stuff is there and available still, but it is not, like, you can't build stuff on it and expect it to run cleanly on Linux or Mac. But with .NET Core, this stuff pretty much runs everywhere. It'll run on whatever operating system you put it on. And what libraries are available for .NET Core, because it's kind of an entire rewrite, those libraries are compatible across systems. So, and there's, of course, just like writing the Go CLIs with some of the other things I've done, things like that, you do have to make nuance in the code of making sure you use the libraries for like paths and things like that, because then the CLI will know, based on the operating system that it's on, like which slash to use, for instance, right? But otherwise, yeah, it's pretty much 100%. I haven't had any problems running it on any operating system that I put it on. And I've been using JetBrains Writer, because JetBrains Writer is fully cross-platform itself. It's written in Java, somewhat ironically. And it's the way that you can get like the ReSharper tools in an IDE cross-platform, because with Visual Studio, the full Visual Studio, you can get ReSharper, and you get a lot of refactorings and stuff like that with Visual Studio, but that's not available outside of Windows. And then Visual Studio Code, no naming conflict there. Lulz, sarcasm, just in case my facial expression didn't show it. The Visual Studio Code product, which is based off that Atom Core JavaScript stuff, it is cross-platform fully, and you can do .NET Core stuff in it, but there's a big but. The refactoring capability of ReSharper is not there, and ReSharper is extremely, extremely powerful. So when I write C# code, I like to have the power of the ReSharper engine in there. And you see me hit Alt-Enter a lot and use the little shortcuts to like clean up code, clean up variable names, things like that, do renames, all sorts of stuff. And Visual Studio Code has a little bit of that, but it doesn't have the full scope of introspection and things that actually go out into the code and dig into the code to basically tell you what's going on in your own code base. Not so bad when I've written all the code like this project, but if it's any other project, like I don't know what somebody else has written. So that is why I use JetBrains Writer, a lot of that capability. And as you see though, I also have code here, but I'm just putting notes in it in Markdown. So where are we at here? Verify connection, return false. And then here it says, see, I have a run Cassandra here, destroy Cassandra, tear down migrations. So let's see about running just this unit test. I think I have like a little, yeah, run that one. Execute up migration. Okay, so it did run that, but then let's hear what happened. Oh, I just have this over here. Migrations to execute, migrate, go to declaration. What? See, like that right there, Alt-Enter, boom, removes the this, that doesn't need to be there. I also just don't remember. Oh, I just put false, probably to make the test run. But the migration actually needs to occur here. Ah, so this is where I need to... I need to set up... You're in a reverse thing. Yeah. Windows isn't bad to develop on, by any means. I mean, you can definitely do a lot of stuff. It just gets complicated when you've been doing a lot of web stuff, Linux stuff, or even working on a Mac OS. Trying to go to Windows usually means you have to do a lot of additional work. But if you're using Windows from the start and you write specifically from the context of Windows first, then you learn how the tooling needs to work on it, and it's not particularly any more complicated than the other platforms. It's just that eventually you will probably need to deploy your application to the other platforms. That's my only qualm with Windows. All right, so migrate. So I'm going to make a note here. So that is done, but here what we need to do is next steps. I'm going to actually mark this as incomplete. And this one is going to be incomplete. And then down here though, we'll have us next steps for next streaming session. We'll get into the integration test. Start first with the migrate. Yeah, the migrate path. Yep. migrate path method. Probably what I need to do is, oops, that's not what I wanted. There we go. So what I probably need to do is get in here. So migration path is one thing. It's got a certain amount of functionality. File selection is one thing. So the way I've written out these classes to work is file selection is what I use to actually look in a path or directory and pick. Ow. I just had my headphones drop on my leg and I thought it was like a ant or something. But yeah, so okay. File selection. File selection goes through and actually looks at the files that need to be included in a migration. Then the migration path is what takes the results of verified files. So the way that the files are verified is it picks them by file name and extension to make sure that they're the kind of files that we're looking for. Migration path then takes those files and pulls the contents of the files into basically a list, like a dictionary list, that then can order them appropriately and set them up to do either migration up or migration down. Destination database is going to be my object that's actually responsible for basically doing the read write from the database, connecting to the database and reading and writing to the database. So the next step is to flesh out this destination database bit here. So let's put that in the notes. Finish filling out functionality in the base class. And finish migration execution. All right. Then we're going to look at next steps, features to build. All right. So that really gets us in a good position. Oh yeah, we need to also determine the next steps around key spaces. Because key spaces are like tables, right? You have to have, or not tables, they're like the database itself. Like if you were running a migration against Postgres or SQL Server, you'd have a database already created. The migrations would then be the schema and tables being created inside that particular database. With Cassandra, though, or DataStax Enterprise, we have key spaces, which then have tables created inside of that, right? By proxy of that, we need to have that key space created, though, because the key space can be in flux or whatnot. So we need to create, how should I put it? We need to create some logical criteria around key spaces. Even though key spaces could technically be part of the migration, the issue is, just like with creating a database or destroying a database, you could put that into your migration, but migrations are not supposed to destroy data on migrate ups, right? They only destroy data on migrate down when you destroy the entire database. So in this particular situation, we would not want to, I guess we could make key spaces part of the migration. But at some point we have to change from a key space, or we have to change into that key space to run the schema. So it could be, but on the way down, if you destroy the key space, you've effectively wiped out the entire thing, which breaks a little bit of the notion of not, I mean, you basically have to have extra permissions specifically to create and destroy key spaces. Just like you have to have the extra permissions to create and destroy databases. If you have that capability, sure, that's great. If not, what we really need to be able to do is just designate in a migration what key space to use, and then run the up and run the down. With CQL, that's actually not that hard. So yeah, we'll talk about that again on the next session, because that is an interesting paradigm. It's a little bit different than a database itself from a functional perspective of running schema migrations, but it's not so different that we couldn't put it in there. But yeah, that is a good topic to start off the next session on. So with that, I am going to let everybody go. And if you want to join me later, in about 15 minutes, I'll actually be streaming on my own channel, doing a little bit of Go programming and other things. So join me there. For now, this is the DataStax Apache Cassandra and DSE C# hour signing off. So cheerio.